Oh, he's got one hook. Here I come. I'm sorry, I had to get him in. Woo! So you think you know lipless crankbaits? Well, I'm here to tell you today, forget everything you knew about lipless crankbaits, because we're out here today testing out Nomad Designs' brand new power trio of lipless crankbaits. We got 3 of them to test out here today. We've got the Swimtrex Max, which is a little thinner profile, very loud, very fast, tons of action. We got the Swimtrex. Looks a lot like you're very similar to most of your other lipless crankbaits, but this little guy's got some really unique features packed into it, and it's got a lot of action all on its own. I'm gonna show you all about that as we go out today. And the third, and probably the coolest one that they've got in the power trio here, this is called the Vertrex. And it's a soft plastic, silent lipless crankbait. Got a little action on its own, but this is gonna be a deadly, deadly bait. Each one of these baits is gonna excel in their own conditions, and that's why they got 3 of them out here. So I'm gonna put them to the test the way I know best out here on a beautiful lake in Central Florida. So there's 3 different baits in the power trio. Even though they all look like lipless crankbaits, each one has its own unique features that separates it from the next. But the main key feature that's in all the Nomad Design baits is that auto-tune technology. Where that line tie is, it pivots and rocks and moves. And what that's designed to do is no matter how fast you crank this, it's always going to run true, because that line can pivot freely right there. They actually got that from their saltwater world, where their main claim to fame is through saltwater. Now they're bringing that technology into the freshwater world here, and it's really going to shine on these lipless crankbaits. But Nomad Design does that on all of their baits. But this one here in particular, this is the Swimtrex Max. It looks very similar to a lot of other liplesses out there, but it does have that auto-tune technology. And when you look at the profile, it's a very slender, thin profile on this thing. This thing's gonna have incredible amount of vibration. It's got some really, really good rattles inside of there, so you can really hear that thing when it's moving through the water. This thing cruising through the flats like I'm looking at right now, ripping it through the grass, it's gonna call them out from a long way around with that vibration, that noise, and it's gonna stay running true no matter what I get it hung up inside of before I rip it out. This, to me, is the first bait that I'm gonna start throwing when I'm looking at these big flats of hydrilla out here. When you got in Florida, man, you got a lot of grass all over the place, and there's a lot of varieties of it. But there's a king of all grasses in Florida, and that's hydrilla. And when you got hydrilla, you got Bass Haven, and that's where it is. When they got choices of multiple different varieties of vegetation to hide in and forage in, but you give them a choice of all those over hydrilla, they're gonna take hydrilla 100% of the time. So if you got a lake that's got hydrilla, find the hydrilla, you'll find the bass. So what we got here is just a big, giant flat of hydrilla, and a couple other little maybe coontail and milfoil mixed in it kind of thing. But what you're doing when you're looking for these flat edges, or these big flats, is you're looking for edges, clean edges. Whether it's a hole that drops down in that the fish might be sitting in, something like that. But this Swimtrex Max is the absolute perfect bait for this situation here. Out of the 3 of them, the Swimtrex Max, I can move really fast. I can rip it out of that grass when it gets into that grass, and it's making a ton of noise. So it's actually calling the fish out that might be tucked in deep into that grass, or maybe hiding away waiting for forage to come past them or whatnot. So I got a big vast area, I got lots of ground to cover. I want something that moves along really well, covers a lot of ground, and can call those fish out. That Swimtrex Max is perfect for this situation. Oh, we got a big one. We got a big one. Stay on, buddy. Gosh, come on. Holy crap, dude, this is a big fish. Oh, he's got one hook. Get look out. I'm sorry, I had to get him in. Woo! That is it. I told you I had to swing him in. I apologize to my cameraman and all you folks back home. Oh, that's what we were looking for though.
Oh my gosh.
There it is. There it is. Hold on, don't. Don't get hooked in my finger. Look at that, beautiful fish. My arm's getting tired. Probably about 3.5, maybe close to 4 pounds. Caught on that Swimtrex Max. We're covering a lot of ground right out here. There's a big, massive flat hydrilla. I lost 2 or 3 about this size, caught a couple of small ones, and then we finally got that one. So we finally figured out a pattern. But the coolest thing is that Swimtrex Max, how fast it can go, how much vibration, how much noise. It's windy out here. And we're covering a ton of ground and calling them out from this heavy, heavy, thick cover. So absolutely fantastic. I gotta let her go. This good girl. Well, they can't all be giants, but the closer you hold them to the camera, the bigger they get. Oh, well. That little dude smashed it right at the boat here though. All right, this second bait, this is probably one of my favorite of all of them here. This is the Swimtrex. And the Swimtrex, it looks again a lot like a Lipless Crankbait, but it's got a much beefier profile. There's a lot more bait to that there. But it's not just that. There's a lot of different angles and curves, well thought out design and ingenuity in that bait all together there. Of course, it's got that auto-tune technology, and it's got a bunch of rattles in it as well too. It's gonna have a good amount of vibration, but the real claim to fame with the Swimtrex is that it actually does a lot of action on its own. This bait will swim on the sink. This is a sinking Lipless Crankbait, and as it falls, it swims on its own because of all those extra contours and details put into that bait in the first place there. So when you get to those areas where you got holes in the vegetation, when you want to stop and kill it, this thing's going to sink and swim and hopefully trigger a whole bunch more bites. The Swimtrex is going to be a killer. So I'm finding, kind of got this shell bar area, and then I got patches of grass. So there's holes. There's a fish. Oh, just a little guy. But he was on that sink. I dropped it, and it was actually swimming on its own. Now he ain't a big one, but we just learned something. And every fish tells you a little bit different story there for sure. But I was yo-yoing it and I dropped it in a hole of that grass, and he grabbed that. I already had it as I was pulling back up again. So not a giant, but I love every one of them. Thanks, girl. So the third bait, and probably the most unique Lipless Crankbait out on the market today, is the Vertrex. This is a soft plastic, silent Lipless Crankbait. And you can see the whole body is going to be able to flex, and the material it's made out of is very durable. So not worried about it tearing up too much at all, but it's going to have a different feel and vibration going through the water, a little more subtle for when those heavy pressure days, heavy pressure fish, and maybe even be able to work a little closer to the cover is where I think I'm going to shine with that. Already pre-weighted in there, it's going to have a great vibration. It's still good. The fish are going to feel it, but it's going to be silent without those rattles. And when they bite onto it, they're going to feel it. It feels like a natural bait, and they're going to chomp and hold on tight. The Vertrex is a very unique bait. So now we're coming up to a whole nother structure. We got a dock here, and you know, I want to be able to pick it apart a little bit more. Oh, there's one. Hold on. There it is. That's the Vertrex. I was just going to say I want to pick it apart more, so I'm going with the soft plastic Vertrex now. And it got us another fish. Literally my first cast. All right, so we came across this other structure, this really nice little dock here, and it's a beautiful sunny day, bright sun, there's no clouds. And a little tip I can give you all is bass don't have eyelids. So if they're gonna look for areas that they can get out of that sun, like something like a dock like this, and to pick apart a dock, be able to move it a little slower, I chose the Vertrex, which is a soft plastic. It doesn't make as much noise, doesn't make as much commotion, but I can move it around a little bit slower. And sure enough, first cast to the dock got us another bass. Lipless crankbaits are always a good bet anytime in Florida, especially when you're around grass. They just seem to excel in that stuff. It doesn't mean it's always the absolute best conditions for it. There might be a lot of options that I would throw normally. But these 3 options that they have give me a lot more variety to be able to fish a lot of different techniques, a lot of different structure, a lot of different areas more effectively than just having one lipless crankbait to try to cover it all with. Yes! The Swimtrex Max gets us one. There it is. The Swimtrex Max gets us one here. So that's one fish on all 3 of these baits. And what we're doing out here is completely different than where we caught those other 2 fish. We're in the open water, big flat, full of grass. We missed a couple of them, unfortunately, in the grass, and finally nailed one here. But the loud vibration, the fast speed, using a 10-to-1 gear ratio reel on this to really burn it through this grass and pull it free is what got it done. 3 different baits, 3 different techniques, 3 different areas, all got success. That's it. I love this power trio from Nomad.